Harris Wells never intended to leave Earth, let alone stand at the center of an interstellar civilization's most sacred ceremony. At 32, he was the systems engineer aboard the Rembrandt, a deep survey cruiser charting the unclaimed expanse between the Perseus and Cygnus arms. The work was methodical and comfortable. Calibrate the gravitational scanners at dawnship, log anomalies by midshift, enjoy synthesized coffee and archive jazz during night watch. Life on the Rembrandt felt like existing in a long hallway with evenly spaced doors. Predictable, sensible, safe. That calm rhythm shattered when the cruiser encountered an impossible signal. It pulsed off-index wavelengths, communicating not with words but with meticulously woven bursts of quantum entanglement. The wavefront was so precise that the Rembrandt's AI named it the Loom. Protocol demanded investigation, and Captain Sandra Malik adjusted course toward the source. An isolated trinary system whose primary star was still nameless on the Federated Star Atlas. As they decelerated from superluminal slip, a continent-sized structure appeared, hovering above the system's pale blue third planet. It was neither a ship nor a station but rather an enormous lattice, a jewel-like archipelago of translucent shards and humming conduits that refracted starlight like a suspended aurora. The Loom had called, and now the Loom revealed itself. Upon approach, every screen aboard the Rembrandt lit with a single glyph, a spiraling helix that unfolded into a stylized pair of clasped hands. Then came a message translated through the ship's linguistic matrix. Welcome, delegates of the distant seed world. One among you has been selected to join the weave. Prepare for reception. Reception. Delegates. Captain Malik bristled at the presumption, but diplomatic curiosity outweighed caution. A shuttle was readied with a small envoy. Malik, xenobiologist Dr. Jian Zhu, linguist Mira Sen, and Harris, a systems technician to record and patch the encounter. The moment the shuttle departed, a tendril of light, solid yet shimmering, extended from the structure's perimeter and guided them toward an aperture like an enormous eye opening in crystalline eyelids. Inside was gravity, breathable air, and a grand concourse carved from translucent stone. And hosts. Tall, willowy figures wearing gossamer exoskeletons etched with living patterns of light. Their skin glimmered in hues that shifted like oil on water. They were the Seraph, both singular and collective, communicating simultaneously through melodic speech and pulses of color that rippled across their bodies. Dr. Zhu attempted a formal greeting, but the lead Seraph, its bioluminescence resolving into the soft lavender of calm, gently raised a four-fingered hand. The Loom has chosen, it announced in fluent, accented Terran standard. With honor we present the Groom, Harris Wells of Earth. Harris, who had been standing slightly behind Mira in case of malfunctioning recorders, choked on his breath. I'm sorry, the Groom. Betrothed to our matriarch Sarah Lintier of the Eighth Weave, the Seraph said as if announcing tomorrow's sunrise. Your life path intersected hers in the moment the Loom entwined futures. The wedding of convergence occurs in 7 of your days. Preparations commence now. Captain Malik objected, Mira gasped. Dr. Zhu muttered that this was not in any first contact protocol, but the Seraph merely smiled, a gesture that looked like sunlight refracting through mist. The Loom does not err. Selection is symphony. Probability becomes promise. And so human consultation, protest, and diplomacy began, and failed. The Seraph were courteous, gentle, implacable. They provided luxurious quarters for the envoy within the structure, and promised no harm would befall Harris or his companions. They insisted that the union would solidify the new bond between species and spoke of cosmic weaves that demanded crossing threads. Meanwhile, the Rembrandt, still in orbit, transmitted frantic reports back to the Federated Council 3 weeks of light time away. Middle. Harris spent the first night staring at an alien ceiling made of softly glowing filaments, trying to process. He hadn't even succeeded at holding on to one Terran relationship longer than a year. Now he was somehow fiancéed to an alien leader? Every rational impulse told him to bolt, except bolting was impossible inside a lattice stretching kilometers deep. The next morning, the Seraph granted a meeting with Sarah Tier herself. She arrived with a retinue of attendants whose chitinous robes chimed like glass bells. Sarah was smaller than the others, her form slimmer, glowing an almost iridescent silver rose. Large, opal eyes regarded Harris with frank curiosity. "Groom," she said, the translator weaving her multi-tonal voice into audible chords. "Does fear eclipse wonder within you?" "Both," Harris admitted. He expected dryness in his throat, but the loom's atmosphere tasted faintly of salt and honeysuckle, calming and strange. "I don't understand why me. I'm no dignitary. I twist bolts and debug sensor arrays." Sarah touched a shimmering scroll suspended in mid-air. It unfolded a holographic tapestry of branching lights. "The loom is more than a station. It is our elder oracle. It reads the quantum strands of what may be. Sometimes to secure a future of harmony, it plucks a single thread. That thread is you. Your presence balances factions that contest my ascendancy. Your unique neuropattern resonates with our communal chorus. Together we amplify probability of peaceful equilibrium to 91%. Without you, 46. Those are excellent statistics, Harris said weakly. She tilted her head. But you are not a variable to me. I wish to know you as person, Harris Wells of Earth. Will you walk the fractal gardens? Over the next days Harris and Sarah traversed corridors where vines of bioluminescent coral grew upside down, forming canopies that sang when touched by breeze. They spoke of art, Harris explaining blues improvisation while Sarah showed him how seraph paint with magnetic fields. They shared memories, Harris of a childhood watching meteor showers in Montana, Sarah of floating festivals in the twin moon glow of their oceanic homeworld. He learned that the Seraph were not strictly binary in sex but used ceremonial roles of bride and groom to represent duality of creation and change. Meanwhile, beneath the harmony, tension thrummed. Captain Malik uncovered that a coalition called the Fracture opposed the matriarch heir. They saw union with an outsider as dilution of Seraph purity, a threat to sovereignty. Mira intercepted comm flares hinting that the wedding of convergence would be sabotaged. The loom's predictions were based on variables that could be murdered. On the fourth day, a fractal garden exploded. Harris and Sarah had been a level above. The shockwave hurled them against a mural of shifting glass. Harris's suit absorbed the worst. Sarah's lightweight exoskeleton cracked. Guard drones enveloped them in photon shields while sprinklers of nanite foam quenched dissonant flames. In blackened corridors they could hear the Fractures chanting, discordant notes meant to disrupt the loom's pulse. Sarah's attendant, Oricanil, guided them to a hidden chamber. Captain Malik, Dr. Zhu, and Mira arrived escorted by security constructs of swirling crystal. There, in a vault lined with pulsing cables, the loom itself projected a luminescent avatar, an abstract silhouette with swirling constellations in its chest cavity. The convergence fractals fracturing. Integrity trending toward dissolution, it intoned. Probability matrix recalculates. Union must proceed or anticipate cascading conflicts across 12 star spires. Sarah faced the avatar. We shall proceed. But we require aid beyond what the weave can spare. All eyes turned to Harris. He recognized that look. The same look crew gave him when a core algorithm glitched at 0200 hours. Except this glitch was insurgent terrorism on an alien megastructure. "I'm a systems engineer," he said. "Not security." "We need someone who thinks in redundancies," Captain Malik urged. "You dream in failsafes. Design us one." So Harris took stock. The fracture's essential aim: disrupt the wedding's central rite of resonance, when bride and groom's biosignatures sync with a loom's heart node, broadcasting a harmonic across Sereth civilization. If the node were destroyed mid-sync, not only would Harris and Sarah Lynn die, but the resulting harmonic dissonance could shatter Sereth quantum infrastructure, effectively civilizational heart failure. He asked for schematics. The loom provided blueprints, ribbons of data describing latticed corridors, shield thresholds, arc reactor vanes. Harris spent 26 hours without rest plotting alternate conduits, redundant nodes, and decoy pathways. Dr. Zhu formulated nanite cocoons that could replicate essential biosignature pulses. Mira developed a linguistic Trojan, a subharmonic chant that, when emitted through ceremonial speakers, could mask the real node's signal until final sync. On the sixth day, amid extensive repairs, invitations were reissued. The Sereth populace, millions watching via neural lattice, anticipated outcome. The fracture, driven to act before measures solidified, launched a last-strike infiltration using phase-shift explosives disguised as ceremonial lanterns. Harris's decoys worked. The explosives obliterated empty halls while the true wedding procession moved through pop-up passageways reopened minutes earlier by shift-lock override. As fiery light blossomed miles away, Sarah Lynn and Harris arrived at the heart node, a cavern whose ceiling displayed the galactic plane as a living fresco. They stepped onto dual platforms that rose like petals. Attendants affixed resonance cuffs, tiny silver coils, around their wrists, ankles, and temples. Cords of light flowed from the cuffs into the loom's crystal arteries. The rite of resonance began. Music without instruments, a chord woven directly from the building's bones. Harris felt vibrations in his marrow. Memories surfaced. His mother's laugh, the smell of rain on copper roofs, the loneliness of Deep Space Watch, and were gently threaded into the melody. Sarah Lynn's memories mingled. Moonlit tides, communal dances, visions of starflowers blooming in vacuum. The chords intertwined, forming a new harmony. The loom's avatar manifested overhead, shimmering like a nebula. It spoke. Convergence achieved. Probability paths align. At that moment, a final fracture saboteur, masked by light-bending armor, burst from behind a pillar, hurling a singularity grenade toward the node. Time seemed to slow. Harris saw the grenade tumble, spinning like a wicked black pearl. His hands moved before thought caught up. He lunged, catching the grenade in mid-arc, an impossible cold biting into his gloves, while his other hand slammed a resonance cuff against its surface. The cuff's microalgorithms identified mass as part of the ceremony's harmonics. The grenade singularity folded not into destructive collapse but into the harmonic stream, dispersing its energy through the loom's lattice like a dampened bell. The saboteur screamed in dissonance as guards tackled him. The wedding platforms descended. Sarah Lynn grasped Harris's trembling forearms, her eyes luminous with relief. "You have woven courage into our song," she whispered. Ending later, on a balcony overlooking the Trinera suns, Harris inhaled crisp alien air and felt, for the first time in months, his heartbeat settle into something like peace. Captain Malik joined him. "Message from Earth just came through," she said. "The Council is stunned. They're chartering a formal delegation, but it'll take weeks." "Plenty of time to learn alien table manners," Harris said, half smiling. "You could come back with us," Malik offered. "Your contract never mentioned royal matrimony." Harris watched Sarah Lynn below, greeting delegations. Her motions luminous, confident, alive. Something in him resonated. "I think my contract just evolved," he said. Malik nodded. "The way commanding officers do when destiny overrules logistics. Then the Rembrandt will log a new colony liaison. And a hell of a story." That night, under twin moons streaked with violet auroras, Harris and Sarah Lynn shared a private post-ceremonial vigil. She presented him with a braided circlet of photon glass, the seraph sign of eternal co-creation. "Will you stay, Harris Wells?" she asked. He thought of Earth's blue skies, of jazz melodies echoing in empty corridors, of all the stories yet unwritten between distant stars. "I will," he answered. "On one condition." Her eyes reflected swirling cosmos. "Name it." "That we write the future as partners, equal threads." She placed the circlet on his brow. "Agreed. The loom awaits our weaving." Far above, the interstellar lattice glowed brighter than any constellation, proclaiming across vacuum that two unlikely threads, one human, one seraph, had intertwined, altering the tapestry of galaxies in ways neither prophecy nor probability could ever fully foresee. And in that radiant vastness, Harris Wells understood that a hallway with evenly spaced doors may be comfortable, but it is the unexpected archway, the sudden impossible doorway into wonder, that makes living worth the leap.